Hello and welcome back to HCS Weekly.
I thought, yo, this is my life. I have to go pro in Halo.
In my head, thought that was more efficient, and I guess I was right.
He was like the god. We would have to 2v1 like just to beat this guy. Like
I don't know, man. I'll try and reach you. You're like, oh, see you guys later.
A lot of Halo in my life, man. It's been a fun journey.
I love it. Hello, welcome back to HCS Weekly. Once again, I'm your host, ShyWay, and we're in your weekly destination for all things HCS. More news, more interviews, and guys, the timer is ticking. The clock is running out. Apparently, November 5th is just 2 weeks away, and we are getting ever so closer to this big esports announcement. Maybe I'm making it bigger than it is, but this is the only thing I got to chew on right now to really get excited about. So November 5th, we've got an announcement on what's happening in the future of Halo esports. We've got Halo Reach coming up soon as well, which is something to be excited about, just to kind of get that energy going and to keep the hype and the momentum. Of course, this interview will be talking about year 4 of HCS. So the last 4 weeks, we've been going through each individual year in this 5-year anniversary. This time we're on year 4, which is 2018, the final year of competitive Halo 5. So we got Worlds 2018, a lot of exciting things to look at. And then next week we'll have year 5. Following week, we have our big announcement. So exciting stuff to look forward to. Before we get there, we've got our news today. We've got our Grassroots giveaway as well. Type !Grassroots in the chat for your chance to win the BR skin and nameplate giveaway. We do one every single episode. If you don't win this week, come back next week for your opportunity. But let's get right into the news with MattyRums from NewCombo.com. Hey, Matty.
Hey, Alex.
How's it going, buddy?
Not too bad. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Another week. Still waiting.
Yeah, still waiting.
Yeah, actually, I've been grinding Halo and been getting a little bit better, which is nice, dude. It's been a long time coming. I'm finally getting some confidence playing the game, hitting some skill jumps and stuff that I would normally be missing.
Saw that tweet.
Posting some tweets. It feels good. It feels good to not just talk the talk, to try to walk the talk a little bit too. So that's been fun. I've been grinding in the meantime. And you have been updating us on news. Do we have anything exciting this week?
Yeah, we have some flighting information, but we'll get to that in just a sec. First off was the playlist update, like usual. Mm-hmm. This one surrounds the Infection playlist. They added the Save One Bullet game mode to the maps Salivation and Haunted Manor. And then they also replaced the game mode Brains with Save One Bullet on Brain Freeze and Spooky House. So just a little bit of an update to that Infection playlist.
So I have not played Infection in a very long time. Save One Bullet is what exactly? Do you have like one bullet in the chamber? You get a kill, you get a bullet back or something?
To be honest, I haven't played much myself either.
Just by the title, I'm guessing it's like you have like one bullet, you fire it out, you get the kill, you get a bullet back, like a second chance or something. But I'm literally, this is me making it up off the spot. So I'm sure the Infection guys will know what that's about. But just more to do in Infection as far as this is MCC. Right.
Yep. This is MCC playlist.
Okay.
And if you want that flood nameplate that they're giving out, you need to complete 10 matches of Infection by the end of the month.
Well, there you go. We can both learn about how it works if we grind it out, try to get that flood nameplate. We have some playlist updates for Halo 5 as well.
Yeah. This Thursday on the 24th, they're adding Roman King in for Covenant Slayer, and they're also launching a double XP. Okay. Which I know a lot of people have been asking for, especially because they're trying to hit that 152.
So, yeah, and just rotating stuff back in that we've seen previously. Roman King, of course, the circle continues to move around the map, and you got to stay in it and fight. Kind of a cool, different game type for Halo 5. You got Covenant Slayer, which is a cool one to try out as well.
So Covenant Slayer is being rotated out.
Oh, being rotated out. Okay.
Yeah, and Roman King is taking its place.
I'm sure it'll come back someday, too. We've seen that one come on and off a few times now. Halo 5's birthday is coming up apparently as well.
Yep, that's Sunday the 27th. And to celebrate, they're giving anyone who logs into Halo 5 a free Platinum Rec Pack.
Right. No, I'm not supposed to laugh at that. That was anyway. Come on, guys. I mean, look. Here's the thing: is I've grinded so much Halo 5 that I have like 2.5 million rec points just sitting. I don't know about you, Matty. But I have
I got it a lot, yeah.
And so many unopened packs. But I'll still be grinding Halo 5 regardless of what we get on that 27th. So nice to see that, it's been what four years now since the release of the game. So it's time ticking by, and excited to see what comes up in the near future here. We got MCC flighting updates as well.
Yeah, so on Waypoint, they posted a new update that talked a little bit about the Xbox PvP flight, but the main focus, or the big topic that I took from it, is they gave us what to expect in the PC PvP, or the PC launch of Reach, or the PC flight of Reach.
Okay.
They're saying it should last, they're anticipating it to last a whole week, but the multiplayer and firefight modes might be a little bit longer. And for campaign missions, we're going to be able to play the Noble Actual and Winter Contingency missions.
So this is a big flight. This is not just, this is everything. This is campaign, firefight, multiplayer. This is just PC, though?
Yeah, this is for the PC flight.
Okay. And we might get it for more than a week, too. That's exciting.
Yeah, so 2 new campaign missions. In the firefight matchmaking, you're going to have the 4-player heroic standard firefight on Beachhead, Corvette, and Holdout. And then you have 4-player normal grab bag firefight on Beachhead, Corvette, and Holdout as well.
Okay.
You have your multiplayer matchmaking, which I know most people are looking forward to.
Definitely.
You have 2v2 Social Slayer on Countdown, Powerhouse, and Zealot. You're going to have 4v4 Social Slayer, Flag and Bomb, Zone Control, Asset Denial, and Action Sack on Countdown, Powerhouse, Zealot, and Tempest.
Okay. That's the lush greenery, the big one, right? Yeah, okay. I remember that one. And then AV8 Social on there as well?
Yeah, AV8, same game modes, except no Action Sack. And that'll be on Tempest, Breakpoint, Ridgeline. And then we'll have our Team Hardcore playlist with Slayer and Capture the Flag, much like it was on Xbox, on Countdown and Zealot. And we'll have Invasion on Breakpoint.
Okay, so the what I love about this, well, first of all, it's being introduced to PC players. So I feel like this is kind of the biggest opportunity to get some viewership, some hype for Reach, as far as before it actually releases, right? Because you can get some real streamers getting their hands on this. I'm not really sure who's signed up for this program, this flighting program, but now we have people actually playing the competitive multiplayer, the hardcore version of the multiplayer on PC. That's going to be very interesting to see, and for somebody like myself who's an analyst, just kind of comparing it up against other people who've been playing on controller, versus this whole mouse and keyboard type experience. So that's pretty cool. And just having a lot of diversity in gameplay too. Like the one thing that I felt when I played the flighting program is it's fun, but just Countdown and Zealot, going back and forth over hours and hours, it does kind of slow down a bit. It would be nice to be able to jump into other things like firefight or 8v8 social or whatever, and have different maps, different options available. So a lot of content.
The one thing they didn't mention was if this is all going to be day one, or if it's going to be spread out throughout the week like it was with Xbox.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they do that. But still, content-wise, this is the most content-rich flight that we've seen so far. And I guess the most opportunity for bigger personalities and streamers and the hardcore PC players to really get their hands on it, to see how it works and runs and stuff. So yeah, some pretty exciting stuff to look forward to. All we just need is the release date, right? I don't think we have the date yet.
Yeah, I mean, they said they were working on it over last weekend to get through some of the blocking bugs. So they're expecting it very soon. So that could be, literally any day.
Yeah, but I feel like it'll probably line up with November 5th pretty closely is what I would guess,
I'm going to say I think it'd be earlier. Okay. I think it's going to be out within 2 weeks. That's just a guess. Because last time they said they're expecting it very soon, the invites went out the next day. So I'm expecting it I'm hoping it's any day at least. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So excited to see. Sorry?
Well, they're stressing that if you are signed up for Halo Insider and the PC flight, to update your it's called DX Diag. It's like a text file with all your PC specs. They're stressing to just go ahead and back into your Halo Insider profile and just update it, even if you haven't changed anything. Just it won't hurt to just update it and make sure that your email is confirmed, because apparently with the Xbox flight, a lot of people that were emailed, their email addresses weren't confirmed, so they didn't participate, or they didn't know that they were invited. So they're stressing to double check that.
Yeah, so just other ways to ensure that you got good chances getting into this flight. I think the power of your PC kind of affects their willingness to put you into the program as well, right? So if you do the DX, whatever you said, the where you get the PC specs, DX DAG or whatever, and you send that over to them. If you have a very powerful PC, I think you're a more approachable person for this this flight, right? As opposed to somebody who's barely.
I think they might try and look for a variety to see. To try and because
that would be good.
The goal is to see what works and what doesn't. So I could see them grabbing a variety of people.
Okay. All right. Well, exciting news nonetheless, and looking forward to watching some Halo Reach on PC the moment it drops. We also have tournament results in the meantime.
Yeah, last Saturday was the second qualifier for DreamHack Atlanta. First place was Tox Gaming. Second place was Lux Gaming. Third place was Team Mantra, which was Ace, Pistola, Eco, and Trunks.
Interesting.
Yeah, the rumor is that it's Snipedown's going to be the fourth, but Trunks was just filling in.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's true or not.
Trunks still a very talented player, so nice to see him in a roster like that. And I wonder if he'll continue to kind of like compete at that level as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And then also in third and fourth was Chaotic Esports, which is Jimbo, Snakey, Snipe Drone, and Hollers.
Okay. Some pretty exciting teams coming up for that event. I caught wind that there was I don't know if they're in there. There was the Connolly team, Connolly, Trippy. I think it was like I don't know if it was Trippy.
Yeah, it's in the graphic. I forgot.
Yeah. So some pretty good teams, kind of like mixing up a good roster mania coming in just before we get into our Atlanta event. Of course, Lux and Tox are going to be your biggest names to look out for. But nonetheless, something to look forward to coming up in Atlanta. We have Blam Gaming, the grand finale that just took place on the weekend. I got a chance to cast the first half of it, and then Nighty and Goofy closed it off. How did this go?
First place went to Bound and Neptune. Second place was Pyretic and Denoxide. And third was Scariotic and Vemzy. Yeah. So they had a nice $1,000 prize pool.
Yeah, really solid. And very good production, too, guys. If you are still playing Halo 5, you want to compete in the 2v2s, definitely check out Blam Gaming. They have, even when they're not like casting the events, they've got these great like reruns and like high level production where they show you, different clips and highlights and voiceover commentary. They've got, just really great work that they've been doing there. So I highly recommend you check that out. If you're playing Halo 5 still and you're still grinding 2v2, we have more Halo 5 2v2 results as well for Live for the Game.
Live for the Game also had a Halo 5 2v2 the same day. And first place again went to Bound and Neptune. They were a little double dipping, and they managed to pull it off in both. Wow. Second place was Mr. Soul Snipe and Vetra. And then third went to Legends and I don't know if it's Mista or Mista. I
wouldn't know either.
These gamer tags sometimes are just a little much.
Yeah, I know we have more coming up as far as 2v2s as well, and you've got the upcoming tournaments here. There's Saturday, October 26th. We got something?
There's a LAN over in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. It's being run by the Penn Halo community. They're calling it Autumn Assault. It's a Halo 3 2v2, and it's going to be held at Gamers Heaven in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And then also we have the third qualifier for DreamHack Atlanta, which will be online.
Getting closer.
Yep. And then, like you mentioned, Sunday, October 27th, we have the Microsoft Store Halo 5 2v2. I'm not sure if the London one is taking place. I know they opened up the new London store.
Right, that's a beautiful store. Have you seen it, by the way?
I saw a few pictures of it, yeah.
It's massive, and then on the top floor, they have this, like, Xbox gaming area that's, like, you guys should check it out. Like, I used to work at a Microsoft store, and I got a chance to see it right before I had left, and it was just this beautiful, like, setup with these high-quality chairs, and everybody has this, like just everybody's maxed out, basically, in gaming tech. You get the Elite controllers and everything, so really, really cool. Only in London, though, of course.
Yeah. But if you live in North America, check your local Microsoft store and see if they're participating.
Yeah.
And then we also have the SWAT Nation Swatoween Halo 5 3v3.
Okay.
On Sunday.
SWAT Nation still coming up with some great events and consistent with our holidays. Of course, Halloween coming up very soon. We got some Halloween events.
I think they tweaked some of the maps to make them look Halloween themed. Yeah.
they'll use Forge to like change the filter on it so it looks different, like change the pieces around. So pretty exciting way to keep things fresh and interesting for Halo. So events still happening. November 5th is the big date we're looking for. Then we got Atlanta coming up after that. So stuff to be excited about, and more reason to just keep up with the news and check noobcombo.com. All this information that we just talked about is available on noobcombo.com. Matty's got it all on lock. And Matty, thank you so much for joining me once again and giving me the news.
It, man. Anytime.
All right, that closes our news for today. I'm excited to bring on Saiyan, who's going to break down year 4 with me of HCS. We got a lot to talk about. How's it going, buddy?
How's it going, man? Glad to be back here.
Nice to see you again, dude. This is round 3, man. You're the only one I've had on 3 times so far, and you're dressed for the occasion. Look at this guy.
There we go.
Grassroots. Let's go, man. Not planned, by the way. We just happen to have the grassroots shirts.
Yeah.
Man, always happy to have you here. You're a well-spoken dude. And you've always got a lot to talk about, a lot going on. But this time
absolutely.
you're doing stuff in the background. You haven't been grinding Halo quite as much recently. You've been grinding Apex. What have you been up to?
Yep, just been grinding pretty much Apex. That's kind of after I made like this sort of announcement saying that I was going to step away from just trying to be like full-time streaming and try and get back into competing. I figured that since Apex has been almost like in a way seen as like Halo-esque with the way like the gameplay is, and I can say it does feel very close to me as like a Halo style combat.
Right. Yeah.
It's been very easy and very fun to just try and pick that up, so I've been really taking that serious. And before the show we talked about a little bit, I've been developing or been working with a team the past like couple weeks, and now we're trying to play in a contender league, and I've just been trying to get more involved in that for the time being, because I'm still a Halo boy at heart, so I'm waiting for more information, waiting for the next big thing that's to come up, whether it be Reach, Infinite, whatever it may be. I'm still around and still looking at everything, and I'm not completely devoid of knowing anything that's going on. I'm definitely keeping up with everything that's been shown and released. So basically just Apex, college, and that's about it. That's been just the grind the past month that I've been that I stepped away from.
And I mean, trying to like put myself in your shoes, think about it from your perspective, is like ultimately you're a competitor first and foremost, right? Like it's like, yes, the stream is great, creating content is great, but that's all extra. What you care most about is being the best at what you do, competing in these games. And there's just no, like, there just isn't good enough, opportunities in Halo for competition right now. So you got to kind of like fill that void with something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and how is that going with Apex? Because it must be kind of tough, like joining now, which is kind of late. Like I know a couple people are saying, like, why don't you just team up with Snipedown? But I don't think it's that easy. Like Snipedown's been there since the beginning. You're also a controller player. Like, how do you get through the contenders and stuff like that? You said there's like a Discord or something that you have.
Yeah. So how it's been working over there on that end with Apex is there's a couple guys. I don't really know them well at all. I just know of what the server is, and I just kind of fell into it because I knew I wanted to. I knew nothing. That's basically how it is.
Right.
I know nothing. I just need somebody that knows a little bit of something on how to like get into this. And I found a couple guys, and there's a big server with like 1,000. There's been like a couple servers because apparently these guys have created like it's like the same exact kind of server, but for some reason they've replaced it with a new one for whatever reason. But it's been thousands and thousands of players in this server, and it's open to anybody, whether it be pro players or like open style players that are just contenders, amateur players basically. And anyone can try and participate. Like last night was the first night of the league, and me and my team, we were playing with 90 plus teams.
Wow.
And they have a very weird like algorithm of how they worked it out, but they have it worked out in some way where all these teams are queuing up together roughly at the same exact time, and we're all able to play. And
how do you find each other? You have to like
what I was gonna say is they have like you can change your server options for like what server you want to join into, and then everyone, like one person from each team, joins the Discord and listens for the one singular person that runs the Discord to like say like do a countdown, like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Wow.
And then we're all in the same server. We hit ready all at the same time, and then hope that we all join in. The point system of how it works is like you have to place top 5 out of the 20 teams, and you obviously can't guarantee like it's going to be a full stack of 20 teams that are actually participating in the league. So it's like it depending on how high you get, like first place is 100% of the points, or 100% of how many teams are actually competing. So there's 15 out of 20 teams, and you get first place, you get 15 points.
Okay.
And so it goes down for each one down to fifth place, and that it's really convoluted, and they somehow make it work.
Yeah.
They're in like their 12th season or 10th season or whatever it is.
Right.
So obviously it's working out for them. And that's why it's like, I have no idea. This is completely different from like Halo, where it's like people are just playing online and there's some open tournaments, some qualifiers, and like 343 supporting the scene. It's like completely different. So I at least found some people to help me with that. And that is just now starting out. So I'm still kind of getting into the scene right now. I'm not a pro yet at the game. So still a lot to develop.
But just the stuff that you have to do to navigate not having a custom game feature. That's basically all it is. It's like there's no custom game built in, so you guys have to do this like roulette. Like I guess if you miss it, you just end up in some rando like lobby and you got to wait and then do the next one or something. Wow.
I will say that I don't know how exactly it is as good as it is, but I don't think there was like with the 90 plus teams that were playing, I don't think there was any lobby that had less than 15 teams actually in it. So it's pretty good. I think it's because of like maybe the MMR, like the hidden MMR, because I know they have a similar system where even though we go into public matches too, it's not in the ranked, which might be even worse, but it probably has some way of like collecting all these probably very above average players in the same lobbies, searching on the same exact I think it was like the Iowa server, so like more of like a central server that we were on.
Okay.
And then we all searched at the same time. So like I said, it's very convoluted because there's no custom games, but it is what it is. Somehow people have figured it out to a degree, and it's going.
Yeah, you're figuring it out. You said you're not a pro yet, but you're still hitting some cool clips. I just grabbed one that was pinned on the top of your Twitter. Let's take a look at this. Nasty. You did the work on it. You're like moving. It's the strafe and the crouch, and then still hitting those shots. Do you find that like on controller, is there any kind of real disadvantage that you've been experiencing? Because I know I'm pretty sure you were like jumping at one point. You were trying to do mouse and keyboard, and now you're going back and forth, or you just kind of been sticking with controller.
Yeah. So how it started, I like wanted to casually get into like mouse and keyboard and PC, and just get good with mouse and keyboard. And I got pretty good. I got okay, and I was confident enough in my skills, but I wasn't confident to the degree that I am, of course, with a controller and like the experience that I have with it, years and years of it. So the only disadvantage right now is more just technical on what they allow with the game, like not being able to loot and move around like a person on mouse and keyboard can. That's like the main disadvantage. But besides that, like I would say it's just preference. Honestly, I think there's plenty of controller players, like myself included, that are like contending very well with and like Sipe Down. Nicewig, just to name a couple players that are at the top right now. Yeah, exactly. They're top contenders in the professional scene right now and doing very well. And they're not using mouse and keyboard. I don't think it's necessarily. I just think since it's on PC, already like I would say the controller population is probably much lower than the mouse and keyboard. I would imagine. So I would just think the greatest controller players to come up against the greatest mouse and keyboard players would already be like the population differential would be very slim in the controller department. So I think it's just if you're good with a controller, like you're gonna be able to contend with people that are good with mouse and keyboard. That's what I think.
Yeah, which is nice to see, especially going onwards into Halo Infinite. We're going to be on PC. It seems like it's going to open itself up to mouse and keyboard, but there's still a fighting chance here. It looks like you're saying, like if there's more people playing controller, I wonder where it would kind of balance. Like if you have more controller players on teams and whatnot. Yeah. Interesting. Though I did notice when you were practicing mouse and keyboard, and I found this out through you, and then I did internet research on it, but I was on Discord. You know how on Discord it says the game that you're currently playing?
Yeah.
You were playing something called Aim Lab. And I was like, what the heck is Aim Lab? And then I went and I Googled it, and I was like, yo, Aim Lab like teaches you, it like lets you practice mouse and keyboard aim, basically. I download this, it's free, and I just spent like 4 hours, or maybe not 4 hours, but I spent time just like just you do like reaction shots and flicks, and each little room like tries to get you to practice a specific type of aim. Is that that's kind of what you're doing? What did you think of that?
Yeah, I like that's when I started to like think like maybe I would want to step away from Halo and still maybe take like PC Apex more seriously. And I was still thinking like, well, maybe I'll just kind of like half-ass it and try and like still work on like my mouse and keyboard. And it's like maybe I'll go pro, whatever. I'll just play just to play and get better with mouse and keyboard. But then I started downloading the application because I was like, I need to work on my aim. I need to just work on hitting my shot, and it really helped. I was playing it for like hours and hours. Like I was probably using it for about 2 weeks, and then I made the switch to controller. But for those 2 weeks, like I was putting in some hours. It was fun anyway. It was like really interesting, and like just trying to like always up my percentage, and like it told me all the different weaknesses and whatnot. And so I thought it was super interesting, and I was making some great progress. But then I finally made that decision where I was like, I just want to take this serious, and I was like, I'm just gonna go with the controller because it's gonna take a long time if I want to even like catch up. And that's just the years and years of experience that I have from such a young age with a controller that I would have to then do to PC if I want to like really contend. Even though I probably can make it up faster, it's just like there would be really no reason, especially since, like I said, I still want to play Halo in the future. It's like I'm gonna try and do as much as I can right now in Apex with the time that I have.
Yeah. It was interesting. I did the same thing though. I played it for a bit and I was like, yeah, I mean, ultimately I'm more comfortable on controller. Maybe I'll get back to it. Like maybe Halo can get me back into mouse and keyboard or something. But guys, I know we haven't even started talking about Halo yet, but I do recommend that if you are thinking of making that transition to mouse and keyboard, consider looking at Aim Lab. Like try downloading and checking it out. It's kind of cool. Like you test your aim and then it gives you statistics on like where you went wrong, which I thought was kind of inconsistent sometimes. Like sometimes it said my reactions were bad and sometimes they were good. And sometimes I was like weak on flicking to the left or sometimes it was to the right. But it's cool to just have like feedback and to start thinking about stuff like that and, try to apply it. So
yeah, I think the game itself is like considered an alpha, I guess. Like it's not really finished, like a full finished game, but I mean, for what it is, it does the job pretty well and gives pretty decent indications on where to work on. So if that is something that the viewers are interested in, absolutely check it out.
Yeah. So getting back to Halo here, you played a little bit of Halo Reach. That was the most recent live stream I got to check out from you a little while ago, and you've been tweeting about it. The first tweet that I saw was about Zealot. Zealot Slayer is not a real game type. It's literally FFA, which is teams turned on. Tell me a bit about your experience with Reach and what's going on with Zealot. You're not a huge fan?
Dude, I'm sure I could figure it out. Just obviously with the limited amount of time I had, and I didn't have any like previous experience with the game type, but my God. We would kill 2 or 3 people, and then there's somebody right below a staircase that I'm standing above right now, back smacking me like instantly. And it's like, didn't I just kill that guy 4 seconds ago? Like, why is he standing behind me, getting a free kill? And besides that, though, like the gameplay still felt great. There was like, I don't know, like I said before, I don't have that like my memory for like my experience back with Halo Reach isn't that great.
Sure.
Especially with No Blue, No Sprint. I really did not have that much experience with that. But it felt almost like, I don't know, I was expecting more, like it's not like the gameplay is inconsistent. It's like maybe I need to lead my shot a little bit. I don't need to be like directly on somebody's head to finish that last shot on the headshot. Maybe I need to, I don't know. It felt kind of weird, but I think that might just be me. I'm not really too sure. Besides that, though, the gameplay looked great and it still ran very smoothly. So I definitely can commend them for that, and I still enjoy myself. I'm really looking forward to just seeing the final product.
Yeah, I agree with you on that stuff. Even with the shots, like kind of registration and whatnot. I don't think you're the first one to say that. It's been a little kind of weird to get used to. But it does feel very smooth. It feels very like very polished, despite being in the place that it's in. Although I've seen some funny funky things happen, like if you do an animation assassination on somebody, then it can cause them to get booted out of the game or something, which was pretty hilarious. Like Frosty got animated on and he got kicked from the game. But apart from that, it's been pretty fun. I think the maps are going to make it for me though. Like Zealot, like you said, it's like the size of the map, the spawns, which I'm not sure like how exactly those are working just yet, but there's a lot of open space where it's like that map was originally designed with sprint and like other abilities in mind. So I'm curious to see like if they bring the Forge maps in, how that will play with No Bloom, No Sprint, if that's going to feel more fluid and kind of like work a little bit better, because that's kind of how it was when they actually did compete. So I feel like the maps is going to be a big part of it that I'm curious to see. But I mean, despite that, you're still kind of dreaming about Halo Infinite. The other tweet I grabbed from you was this Infinite tweet. Let's take a look at that. Said 2 a.m. and a year away, just thinking about how ready I am to take over Infinite. I like the confidence. Is this what the grind's for, right? This is kind of what you're thinking about back. We were talking about before this, and just the fact that like Apex seems fun, but I don't get the sense that this is like the true passion. You know what I mean? It's like it's just what you have to do right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm beyond ready for Infinite. Obviously, like we've had many years now of products that are just way before they're ready coming out with Halo. So I'm just ready for this game to be great and for us to just rejoice. Honestly, I'm ready to just be full in like on Halo whenever it does come out. That's really, like I said before, like the passion is there because I want to get a win in Halo. That's really where it's at. And right now, it's just that competitive desire. So I'm doing something else for the time being. But yeah, Halo really still is the main goal to stick with in the future.
Because, like, honestly, I don't know what else can fill the void, man. Like, Apex has some similarity, like you said, but, like, it's a battle royale, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, ultimately, it's a different type of experience. So I'm thinking, like, what else can I play? But honestly, it's just, like, Halo or an older Halo game. Like, it's not, like, unless you change genres entirely, or, like, Fortnite's a whole other thing, you know? It's like...
It's hard to... honestly, it's, like, thinking about it right now, it's like Halo can almost, like, pick and choose things that like can make other games that game and like apply it to themselves like it has, I feel like, with modern Halo and still be Halo, but it's like there's no other game that I feel like could really adapt or has even attempted to adapt like to what Halo has been in the past. And it really is unique. So I think I'm really excited to see what they do with Infinite. I honestly have no idea, so it's just I'm just ready. Like I said, I'm just ready for it.
You and so many more of us, we're gonna hit the ground running when it comes out, and excited to see that happen, man. But let's reminisce for a bit. Let's jump back into the past. Of course, we're looking at year 4 of HCS, and the way this kicks off is like we were saying just a second ago. Fortnite kind of comes out, explodes on the market in 2017, end of 2017. You're on Luminosity at the time. Ninja's like, screw this, I'm out. I'm done with Halo. You guys disband. He goes and plays Fortnite. What happens in the interim period? You kind of end up jumping on a team called Ambush. You get picked up. That team becomes Envy. Mm-hmm. And while you talk about that and how this team formed and kind of what your experience was like, let's throw up some Team Envy kind of background footage of you guys hanging out at Worlds here. And go ahead. So you can just.
I'm sorry. So. Wait, do you want me to like kind of like talk about how it all started with that team, or?
Yeah, how did you guys come together?
Yeah, I mean,
the transition off of Luminosity, getting into this.
Gotcha. Sorry. So how it really began was with Tyler. Obviously, he was always like the Halo kid, but he then really started branding into like H1Z1. That's where he really started to hit some traction, and then. By that 2017 year, like even at Atlanta in 2017, that man was like swapping between. He was at an H1Z1 tournament as well, while also still playing in Halo, and it was obviously interfering with the way he was performing and like how we were able to like mesh as a team at that event, especially. So we just kind of left it at that, and then he knew he needed to do what he needed to do. He needed to get away from Halo, and which was understandable. And then from then on, we even teamed with. Yeah, we teamed with Rain and APG before that with Colorado, that one event. And those were great guys. But then obviously we were like, me and Joey in particular, we really felt like we had the chance to like break in that top 4 100%. Like we felt like we had the skill and we had the confidence and that sort of drive that we knew we needed teammates that were already like there and already had experience with that.
You hadn't broken into the top 4 yet, had you? I guess.
No.
2017, you're what, like top 6, maybe?
Yeah, we were pretty much hovering around that 5th, 6th while we were on Luminosity, and even in Colorado, which is funny that you say that. We almost beat Envy at Colorado, and they ended up getting, I think, 4th. Anyway, they were having sort of an off tournament. I think Huke was ready to go to Call of Duty after that tournament as well, even. But we almost beat them, and it really sucked. But that was also a big thing. It was like. Huke is leaving. And then on top of that, after that tournament, we knew Splice, I think at the time with Boo Boo on it, was about to like disperse, or they were going to be making some moves. And then we found out that Jesse was actually the one who's going to be free, and then we knew Ola. Actually, we found him out he was going to be free, and we're like, dude, these guys, like, obviously everyone at the top is great players, but it's like these guys deserve to be at the top, and like we thought we should be there anyway, and it's like we know they're great guys, we know they have that skill, and they've already been there. Like Jesse had just won Atlanta, the tournament before that, and then Ola, like we don't even need to say anything about Ola. It's just like we knew what they had, and we knew what we had to work with in the future, like what we can do. So we were ready to just make that sort of team that just could mesh so well. And honestly, it's definitely just one of my top 3 teams. Like honestly, right there with Reciprocity, it's like hard to compare the two.
Yeah,
such a great team.
So you reached out to Boo Boo and Ola together. How did that come up?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, just to put it out there, I'm the one that will make the moves.
Yeah, is that
Joey's the one, like, me and Joey will talk, but it's like I'm the one that does the talking, basically.
Oh, okay.
I'm the one that'll make like the outward approach to do something, but Joey and I will be the ones that's like, we'll still come together and talk about like what we want. So I reached out to both of them, and I think they both, I can't remember, like my memory isn't too great, but I think they were pretty much like on board right away, it seemed like. Nice. I think they knew that we were like good guys and good players, so I think they were both very just like upfront about like wanting to do this. And then since Ola had like the great connection with being on Envy, and Reciprocity couldn't pick up, or Envy couldn't pick up that Reciprocity squad because I think they were in some sort of contention for all those players. So we had a good connection with Envy then through Ola, and then we were able to get picked up and start representing them.
So you guys, when you started out, actually pretty strong, right? So this is kind of a skip ahead to Worlds now that I think about it, but there were a couple events before that, and you were the first team to sweep Optic Gaming along the way, right? So you had this great explosive start. Splice seemed to be the difficult team for you, though.
Yeah, I think that it's just like Splice was a difficult team for everybody, and
during that time frame,
months, it was just like they were some of the best shots, some of the best movements, and like they were just always some of the greatest players at that time. And then on top of that, they weren't scrimming or showing any of like what they had to anybody. So it was just like, how do we play against them? And that's what every team, I feel like, thought. So it was just like mainly like sheer willpower of like that and shot is what was the contention against Splice at the time. And so I feel like that's why they were just so dominant, was because it was like, what do? We got to figure this out. We need to know like what kind of way they play. But it's like the only time we even can think about that is when we're in the game playing against them at a LAN, at like the biggest world tournament ever, basically. So it was hard to figure them out. Obviously, Tox was just like, you kind of always knew how they were gonna play, but they were still like, or Optic Gaming at the time, like, they were so solidified, and everyone has played them enough. I feel like we understood them well, and we had the shots and like the confidence as well to like take them on. And I think there maybe even have been somewhat of like a honeymoon, but I think every team can kind of experience that. But I felt like even after that tournament, we still had great games against them, and even Splice, somewhat Splice, but mainly even still Optic. Like we had the firepower to kind of fire back at them. But yeah, it was a very explosive. Like it was such a great feeling that day to like hear that. Like I didn't even really know that at the time when we did it, but like I just knew in game, like we were feeling ourselves. It was such a great moment. Definitely like my top 2 moments was that win against them.
Yeah, incredible. And you actually had a really good win against Splice later on as well that we will look at. You did this whole reverse sweep on them. So you actually did manage to come back and kind of get your just desserts. Not with Envy, though. Did you, as you were watching that, though, did it kind of take you back a bit? Like I was looking at Trippy, man. Trippy's changed so much. Just man's lost weight. He looks great. He's like, he's super fit now. Of course, he's still like, he was just as talented back then, but it's cool seeing how much some of you guys have aged in just like 1 year. It was literally just a year ago. Yeah,
it's funny that you say that. Like just looking at pictures.
Like if we show a bit more again,
just looking at pictures and just thinking about it, it's like, man, I really feel like I've changed a lot. And especially like you said with Joey, it's like, I even actually was on the phone with Joey like yesterday, and we were just talking over some stuff, and it's like he's still the same exact person. I feel like I'm pretty much still like the same exact person, but at least just like visually, like looking back, it's like, man, I feel like that was 2-3 years ago almost. Like looking back, and but it's so funny that you mentioned that. It's great.
Yeah, you had no facial hair back then as well.
Yeah.
Now you start doing the beard now. I think it works for you a little better.
Yeah, honestly, I thought the same thing. I wasn't too sure about it, but I let it grow out, and I was just like, I think I was mainly shaving it even back then, for a while. But then it just kind of reset point. I was like, I'm just gonna do it. But yeah, I think that's the biggest difference, at least for me, is the facial hair, maybe.
Or just wait till you get to my level where I don't even know when to stop it anymore. Like it just keeps growing now, and I'm like, do I stop it here? Do I keep going? Do I like people are saying don't stop? Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, and like you said, like Splice was kind of that powerhouse. Also, you couldn't even practice against them, could you? You like they wouldn't scrim. They did this. I don't know if you guys remember. They would only play each other. They would play 2v2s against each other. That was like their grind session.
Yeah. So basically, everyone just found out, or just I think they just said it. It's like we just play twos, and like that. That's why I said they just had the shot and like the willpower to do it, to try and take on the best teams, because like they were just some of the best players. But I think I think they really had great chemistry, and that's what was like. Even though maybe like you can't really tell just from like interviews or just like I don't know, but like I can tell just the way they played and how they interacted. Like they had great chemistry with each other, and just that's like that hive mind mentality that every team kind of wants to reach, where they just do the same thing together all the time almost. Or if like even if they're not together, they all have like a very good idea of what each other want to do. So even if they didn't like practice and talk shit over, it's like because they didn't really need to, and that's what made it very difficult for everybody else, because it just took 4 or 5 lands for everyone to finally start realizing, okay, this is kind of how they play. Because even though that's like a very dangerous thing to go up against, it's still predictable. Just like anybody, once you play against them enough, becomes predictable. That's just the way it is. And so that's why we were able to. Every other team was even able to contend with them a little bit better for the months after, or after that first initial season in the spring. But yeah, that they were definitely like the hardest team to play against, I would say, at that time.
So you're saying eventually you could start to read them a little bit?
Yeah, I think every team did, especially in talks. I mean,
they did fall off towards the end, but I feel like they always had the argument that it's like, oh, COD's coming out, we're focused on that, we're not playing or whatever.
I mean,
so it's kind of hard to say.
I feel like that's just such a sorry argument to even say in the first place. It's like that's why some amateur players or like people like hitting that top 12 that are like semi-pro in a way, like they don't reach above that, is because they aren't trying hard enough. Like they're like I feel like almost anybody that's in that top 16 can like make pro because they put in more effort, more time, or playing more games. And it's like if they're not doing it, then obviously they didn't deserve to be top 3 at the time, at the end of their life cycle with the last tournament or last tournament. So it's like that's just what happens. You fall off. You don't play enough. That's just the way it is. Plain and simple.
Makes sense. Now, of course, Worlds, big performance from you guys. You guys landed in 3rd place, I believe, which was actually very close series to Optic Gaming. You almost won that. You were winning, and then they made that comeback, that swing towards the end, which was unfortunate. But the star of the show of Worlds, this always steals the thunder, is just that one series that you had versus Reciprocity. Specifically the last game. It was an amazing series, though, just back and forth. And then the last game, which we'll play some up in the background, there should be a little bit of audio as well for you guys to kind of hear the energy and what's going on. But maybe just take me through the series and kind of how did you feel about this experience, and like what was your mindset coming into it? And this last game was it was crazy.
So, I mean, just the mindset going in, at least with the series in general, was like we hadn't had the opportunity to play against these guys on LAN yet. Like, this was our very first time, and it's what is this, losers semis, or I can't remember exactly what point of the tournament it was, but like this is our very first time playing against each other at this specific like gigantic tournament and in a LAN environment. It was we were just all so ready, and I think it was also because at the time like we were still called like online kids, or like Mick, when he of course everyone kind of knows the way he would kind of talk about some stuff every once in a while, and he would kind of shit on people just to shit on people because he was mad, but we were like, we're ready to like show them what we got, and obviously we came out hot, but they were still like a team to contest. Like obviously they were there for a reason, and so they were able to come back, and we just had some great games against them. And like you mentioned, it was so unfortunate for something like that to happen to Spartan during that series, because it's like everything's just going so well in a competitive sense. Like just like you can't ask for like a more close series and more action-packed sort of gameplay among like some of the best teams, and I was really happy, at least in that sense. It's like this is amazing, but for something like that to kind of like sully it, it really does suck. but obviously we ended up still coming out on top, and it is what it is. But it was still a great series, like to the very end.
Yeah. Watching this back right now, do you remember all of this? Kind of going
Not
down?
really.
Like,
I
no?
remember certain plays. I think it's just me. I have like just a terrible problem remembering like plays
Seriously?
happening or like unless it's like super big or monumental or like
Sure,
things like
sure.
that happening. I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember some small things or small details of games happening, but I don't remember too much of it. Obviously, I remember Spartan's controller after the fact learning that, and then I remember
Right.
I did remember. I can always remember like the play towards the end of this game whenever I picked up sniper and camo, and then I was able to get a few kills, and we
You
were
were
just starting
no
to steam.
mercy on these guys. Like you saw that. I don't know if you knew that his controller disconnected at the moment. You just saw him stand still for a second, melt the guy, and then you just start blaming everybody with the sniper. I mean,
Yeah.
what else can you do though? It's like
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
think.
Like we didn't know
Yeah.
what happened because
Yeah.
there's always that problem in Halo 5 where sometimes you thrust slide and it just stops you mid slide sometimes. So you're
Right,
like,
if you hit some weird geometry on the floor. Or something.
yeah. So it's like we didn't. Nobody even mentioned it in the game. It's just like, okay, we melted that guy. On to the next thing. Like
Exactly.
gameplay is still going. Like we
Yeah.
didn't think like, oh, maybe his controller disconnected or something happened or whatever happened. We just kept playing because it's like that's the way we were always told to do it. It's like you don't stop playing until someone tells you to stop playing. Like that's not in the game. Or if like unless everyone's tossing up their hands and everyone's standing still, then like that's a clear like moment. Like okay, now we're gonna stop the game.
Yeah.
But just for that to happen to him, we're like, we didn't even think about it. We're just, this is just normal day. Like we're going through the game as normal.
Yeah. So the moment's coming up actually pretty soon. It's like late 20s for both of you guys. It's pretty close. I think it's maybe even on the next camo. I remember you were saying Splice, they just have this unbelievable chemistry. They work together so well. Did you feel like you had that with this team at the time? Of course, you guys were still pretty fresh. Like you had a couple events.
Yeah, I still think just naturally, like we were all still friends in and out of game, so we just had a good understanding of how to like interact with each other already. But
Here it is. Here it is. This is the moment.
Yep, there it is.
Look down his controller.
Yeah, we started shooting him, and then it just happens. And then,
Such a big moment, right? Because camo,
yeah.
like Penguin's gonna die, and then watch, you're gonna start. You'll pick up the snipe, and then we'll get to see that.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things, man. It just sucks that had to be part of what happened. Because obviously it's just like
There you are.
the what ifs and whatnot, but
know.
this is the reality that we're in. So it's really unfortunate.
That's the thing is, like, even in that video we played as pre-roll, you guys were talking about it afterwards, and the fact that, like, unfortunately, you can't replay for something like this, right? Like, if it was, like, somebody disconnects from the game, that's one thing, but a controller disconnect, that happens. Like, even, like, APG at Atlantic City, he was getting it a couple times, but it never happened at that one really crucial moment. It just so happened that, like, when it went down was, like, a game-changing moment that makes it heartbreaking.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just such a scuffed area to be interacting with, and it just sucks because it's just if there was a rule to allow it to be ended, or for the game to be ended when that happened, then I imagine we would see much more disconnects involved, and people would be
right.
much more,
People could prey on that stuff. Yeah,
that's why they don't do it, is for that exact reason, and it just really sucks. Like that is the way it is.
Yeah, because imagine that. Like, if they reset, then in the future, if you're ever losing a game, you jiggle that little micro USB. It's so flimsy,
Exactly.
man.
That's why it's not as.
Oh man.
It's not like someone literally not being in the game.
Yeah,
out
that's
of, like,
different.
Their own, like volition. It just happened. It just happened, and it sucks.
Unreal. There was that one thing that Trippy said where he's like, you know what I hate is people will think it's not a real win or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you guys were like, I feel like you still could have taken that series, no problem. You had all the momentum, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean that's another reason why it's still part of the rule is like, unless it was like a 49-49 and someone was done like standing still in the middle of a fight and you clean somebody up, that would be a clear like, oh, if his controller didn't disconnect, then we shouldn't be able to say like
down to the last kill. Yeah.
something like that would be clear as day. Like, oh, he should be able to do that. But when it's mid-20s and like we were shooting him and then it happens, it's just like, dude, I like. Even thinking about it just sucks because it's just like maybe he gets away, maybe he doesn't. Maybe they get camo, maybe we still get camo.
Yeah.
Maybe he lives and goes on a freaking spree and starts hitting every single headshot no scope. But it's just like everything's a what if whenever you start getting to that conversation, and it really sucks.
The one thing though is like if you look at that play, he was on nest isolated. He was completely alone. And you guys were spawning up over on the catwalk and flying in together. So he still could have got insta melted even if he thrust lit. which is interesting to think about that he was alone there. But yeah, I mean, regardless, it happens. It's unfortunate. You guys move on. You fight your battle against Optic Gaming. It ends up being very close. It does land you a third place. Things kind of switch around quite a lot after that. We have our big settings mania. So I think a couple settings had already kind of changed, like the DMR, the BR, they went through their tweaking and whatnot. But this was the biggest change that we had seen as far as like removing maps, adding game types. We had removed Spartan Charge, Ground Pound. And then at the same time, they had introduced these Forge maps, right? So you had Fissure Ball, Echelon Ball, Eden Ball, Refuge Slayer, and CTF. And the removal, Eden Slayer, Regret Slayer, Fathom Flag. Do you like all these changes? I feel like the Ground Pound Spartan Charge was the one that was like unanimously agreed upon. But the maps, I don't know, man. It just ended up being like, okay, this is what we got, and now I guess we're going to roll with it. How did that even work, kind of like testing them and whatnot?
So it just developed from a Twitter DM. We've had multiple of them in the past with the pro players and like maybe Tashi or like a couple other members of the HCS team to talk about like what we would want or would like to see changed. And after like that world season, they really started to listen a lot more. However, not as much as we wanted them to, but still enough to the point that we got like obviously Ground Pound, Spartan Charge out. Those didn't need to be in the game,
right?
For ranked, and then they got tossed. That's great. And then I think we like almost everyone was in agreement. Like we need new maps or like new game types or something to like spruce it up.
Was ball the key though?
Yeah, I don't think the ball was the key. I think it could have been better. I think it could have been better with the maps being tweaked even more. But they were, I've said in the past on stream a few times, like once like the season started, like they were not going to change maps for some reason. Like unless there was like game breaking or like we had proof like something is just broken, they weren't going to change anything.
Yeah, now that it's out there, it's done, guys.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that because we got like maybe a couple weeks, and even in that couple weeks, like I was trying to get as many people as I could to test the maps, but it's like nobody really wanted to because at the time still people were like kind of just shrugging at like, oh, are they really going to change anything? Are they going to listen to us? That kind of conversation was just being had over and over again.
Right.
And like changes were made to the maps and the game types, but like not enough that really warranted it to be in the playlist and to be actual competitive settings. So it was disappointing because I wanted new maps. I was okay playing those new maps, but I was not okay staying on those maps in the format that in the way that they were. And we were saying like, oh, this needs to change. This should be changed. This shouldn't be this way anymore on like different maps. Like maybe we should add this, but it's like they didn't want. I don't know exactly what the reason was. I think it was just because a new season started, and they're like, season's starting. We're not going to change anything until there's like a. They even mentioned, I think, like we're gonna maybe make some changes during like a down period. Like after this tournament, there's like 2 or 3 weeks to like do stuff. We still ended up not like changing anything. So it was really unfortunate because I think after playing on it, like I was really big on getting maps in and like working on these things. But it's like I even knew like I don't want to play on this. I don't want to play. I don't want to play Refuge Slayer where I'm spawning in the exact same spot for the just gets like spawn sniped and like 16 bullet mag snipers with rockets in the middle, and like it's impossible to break setup, and it's just like stuff like this got tweaked, like that for example got tweaked where like I think all weapons across all game types like got halved for power weapons.
The ammo they have, but that was even earlier though.
Was it?
I think they have the ammo before because they did it at the same time when they made Magnum the main starter, and then they replaced remember the old rockets with Yeah, that was a good change.
Because I could have swore that halved ammo got changed like in the middle of the season. Did they have it
even more? Maybe they took even more sniper ammo off or something. I don't know, but
I don't remember. I'm not too sure.
Was there ever like low key a Forge map that you really liked that you thought might have been competitive viable that like never went through?
I'm trying to remember. Russet was one of them.
That's the one that comes to mind. Or I'm like, Russet. was that actually like pretty solid?
That probably could have been a better flag map, I think, than Refuge.
Really?
Yes. We didn't really play it much though. Like they were really on board with like Refuge, Echelon, and
because it's like, oh, it's Sanctuary. You know, people know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they were much more on board with like some maps than others. I think there's another one called like Vestige or something like that. I can't remember what it was called.
But I can't remember what it looked like. Yeah,
it was like also sandy with ruins, and it was like we were trying to play strongholds on it, and most people were like kind of for it, but we played it like one time, like during the play testing times that they were trying to set like. we get one game with it, or we had like 2 games over a span of like 2 or 3 weeks whenever we were doing it, and it's like that's not enough time to even get any information out of us. And even in that time, like not enough people are really up for it because like what's happening is exactly what people were afraid of. Is like they're not really listening to us or not giving us the opportunity to give as best information back as we can. So that's one thing that really I hope is very big in Infinite is just if it pertains to competitive, like allow us like half the say at least as the pro players to make changes, because I really think like they want to like maybe they really have said in the past like they really want to make it as streamlined as possible from like casual to ranked like settings wise, but I don't know if that's really possible. Honestly, I think that's just trying to appease.
Like, needs to be its own thing somehow.
Yeah, and I think that like, they might think of that as catering to us, but I don't think that's a problem. Like if like no, I don't know. I think the best possible option to get new players in is to get people interested, but no one's going to be interested if the people that are playing it aren't interested themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is like I understand the argument on their side is having the inconsistency across playlists, but if you have pro players who genuinely love the game that they're playing, it's creating these like amazing hype moments that are like that go on Twitter and just get retweeted by everybody. Everybody's loving it, saying good stuff. Like people will jump from casual to hardcore, and they'll look at hardcore as this prestige mode. You know what I mean? It's like, there's the casual version, but hardcore is like, if you really want to get good, this is how you play. These are the unique settings. And I feel like they become more aware of that now. And I think esports in general has like the audiences that play video games in general kind of understand that there's like the main game and there's the esports settings, and like esports is just so ingrained in popular culture now. So we can start to see that. It's really like, it's nice that they started listening, but it was just so far towards the end of the the life cycle of the game. So coming into the next Halo game, having that opportunity would be great, and then being able to change up stuff. So I guess if they go forward with something, I understand the argument that you wouldn't want to immediately switch off of it, because if you if you make an announcement and then you switch it and you're flip flopping, like you got to hold things for a while, but. But maybe if there's more prep work in place, then we wouldn't have the flip-flopping issues. So
I think it just came down to honestly just kind of disorganization. Is that like we wanted to make changes. They knew that we wanted to make changes, and they were open to doing it. But then like the time frames and the strictness of it, I don't know, of like making us play it was not there. Like it's hard to like make. For example, like when like talking about Refuge, Echelon, and whatnot, like making players play it is not really possible. Like you can't say like you gotta do this, but it's like if they actually make it true or make it very evident that whatever you guys say goes, or you have this much input, like they can at least lay out some more ground rules. I think is what needs to be set in the future. Is like you guys can have influence on this, and this.
Right.
Like, so this is not going to change. This is not going to change at all. And it's like maybe in the future we can talk about this more, but it's like for this season, not at all. And it's like some guidelines like that I feel like would be amazing to at least get more people involved and understanding like, okay, I can at least talk about this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, we can set certain days maybe to play this map or with the settings. And then like, if you're not interested in that, then so be it. But this is what you're going to be able to talk about today. And whatnot. And I think that is what's needed for Halo in the future. Because I feel like that's what really started to get more people involved in Halo 5 in the last season was like we wanted change and like they were open to it, but and then we got it, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't like as high as it could have reached with the desired settings.
So I like that then. Transparency, organization right from the get-go. And I mean, November 5th, we have an esports announcement. Hopefully we see a little bit of that in some way. Not to get, my hopes up too high, but transparency, organization, like you're saying it, man. And hopefully we see some of that with the next game. Let's fast forward a bit because I got a lot of stuff here and we're already hitting 7 Eastern, but so you end up splitting up. You join Reciprocity. Actually, you stay together for the most part. You just swap Boo Boo for Snipe Down. You become Reciprocity. Along the way, you have a bit of a rough start. You face off against Trifecta. Trifecta has the most amazing tournament they've ever had in their lives. Also, Ryan Noob is just the upset master. He comes out of nowhere and he's so good at upsetting teams. We have a bit of that we can show. right now, and we can talk about that. The last series, this incredible just upset that they created here. Tell me a bit about this experience. It seems like you were involved in a lot of the biggest moments, actually, of 2018, whether it was winning or losing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I would say with this series, it really did start out, I feel like, with I feel like it was like the people on that team are very much like they're LAN players. Like I feel like online they don't play the same as they did on LAN. So that was definitely just a big change playing against them. From the two just different sceneries of being online to that. And then from there, I will at least say that make the excuse like I was sick and Eric was sick. It really sucked that happened. I don't know if that's really a good enough excuse, but I ended up actually having to go to the hospital after I got home from this
Holy, what'd you have?
I had gastritis. So I had
what even is that?
It's just like some, I don't know if it's like excessive gas or like some sort of buildup in like my gut or my intestine or wherever it was. I couldn't quite remember, but I had to end up taking an antibacterial after I got home. And honestly, I think it was from some burger I got from an airport restaurant as soon as I landed. But either way, it was just not a good weekend. And we knew it from the start. Like, we knew coming into this tournament, like, we had a great shot. And, like, we were performing very well. But I think from the start, it was just kind of off. And then Eric ended up getting food poisoning. And then on top of that, these guys were playing.
You had, like, bad Popeyes?
Yeah, he did. And then on top of that, these guys were playing well. Like, we were not playing as well as we should have been, and they were playing great. Like, I'm not gonna take it away from them and say like, oh, they were just beating us when we were at our worst. Like, we were not at our worst, but we definitely weren't at our best, and these guys were definitely playing, I would say, at their best at that moment. And they were really just on top of things, and they were able to like handle us. And it really sucked because we knew we could have done so much better, which I think is why we were able to start taking the pace back up after this tournament. But yeah, it really sucked because it felt like we still should have won it anyway. I think we could have. But it just so happened to turn out like they're still playing super well. They were playing.
Yeah.
They were definitely playing lights out, and they were there to win. And we just weren't. That's what happened.
Well, unfortunate that you guys got sick, but fortunately for the audience, that 49-49 sequence was insane, dude. Like, the hype watching that was incredible. You see Musa just pop off and start like flexing and stuff. But that 49-49 was nuts when Rain had to back off. He tosses the shotgun over and he's like trying to find everybody's playing passively at the end. Like, those are the moments in Halo that I miss, and I'm excited to get back. You don't see that in Apex in the same way. You know what I mean? Timer ticking down, one more kill to win the game. Yeah. So you guys, you warm up, you get a little better, you hit London, and you managed to go up against Splice, which was the big problem team at the time. And this time you kind of figured them out. You do this amazing comeback on Splice. I've grabbed a segment here. This is from the Refuge game where you guys are playing together. I've got your audio so we can listen to that. The viewers can listen to that. We might not be able to hear it saying. Let's play that segment up and then we'll chat a bit.
Gotcha.
So not this, skip this. It's the timestamp 32:29 with audio, and I'm skipping too. Oh, this is actually your hand thing. Look at your hand here. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a habit, but it's just what I do whenever I'm.
Spell.
No, I do that all the time where I'm cracking. I can crack pretty much like in any like fashion where I just can.
Oh, it's like sideways.
Crack it. Yeah, it's like sideways and like do that, and then I'll push my fingers back, pop my thumbs. I'll like do it all. I was just thinking about that the other day that somebody might ask me about that in the future.
Really?
And I think maybe kind of like APG, because I think APG almost does something similar to that. But I just do it just to crack my fingers and like get loose and like because if my hands are like if I need to crack my fingers, like I can feel it. I can really feel it, and it just feels kind of stiff. So I just crack them. I just move them all around just to make sure I'm warm, basically.
It's got to be a gamer thing, because I can do I do just these ones like that when you like push your hand against your fist, and then I do like the parts of the knuckles or whatever, but never like sideways. That's next level stuff.
I'll just like move it in my hand a little bit and move
this is the secret sauce, right? This is it.
I can do it like on my fingers.
Yeah, you got to loosen them up, right? And then you hit the nice shots and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know when I started doing it. I think I started doing it probably around when I started competing, or like later, maybe more recently, like whenever like that 2018 year. I feel like maybe I started doing that more. but I remember distinctly like years ago whenever I finally learned that like cracking your fingers actually isn't a bad thing for you. It doesn't
Right.
actually
You're
affect
releasing
you. Yeah.
like fluid or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
some like nitrogen bubbles or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna crack my fingers whenever I need to. And so I've always just gone to the habit of like, if I feel that stiffness in my hands, I just start like playing with my fingers, and then I probably get like 5 or 6 fingers cracked like at a time.
Yeah, all right. Well, there you go. That's how Saiyan went from 0 to like unknown to 2018. All of a sudden, he's a powerhouse. He's cracked his fingers in between.
There you go. That's all.
That's the secret.
That's all you gotta do.
Okay, now we can show the audio clip, and you guys can check this out.
What the communication's like, because that is a devastating flag loss.
Nice kill. Nice.
Our jump up. 2 our jump up. 2 our jump up.
Looking. Joe, our mid rocks pushing through already. Pushing through mid rocks.
2 shots.
Our
2
courtyard
shots.
maybe also. I think our courtyard right now.
Our jump up. Our jump up.
Our courtyard just shit on me.
We're 2 dead.
He's our courtyard going our shoddy tunnel or something. It's Shotsy. I don't see him hut. So.
Rockets are coming, boys, but get
Still
another
here.
race.
On me and a shoddy.
I spawned our shoddy.
Wait, Tommy.
Ring 3, ring 3.
I'm coming
Rockets
Alright.
are up now, guys.
Our rocks are now. Currently going to rock ramp.
We're 2 dead.
Right here.
He's
Ring
on the
3.
rock
They
ramp.
have
Ring
rockets.
Got him.
They have rockets.
Where's the guy ring 3 right now? Staring at me. And I'm hut with rockets. Yep. He's our courtyard already. I naded it. He's definitely in our shoddy.
What's our ring 2?
Watching you guys.
He's in our shoddy tunnel or some shit.
Our jump up right now.
Pushing up our
Dude,
bomb.
where is he at?
Going ring 1 right now.
Shotsy ring 2.
He's
Get a
definitely in our
rocks again.
courtyard or
Rocks again.
something. Our rocks, I'm going
Yeah,
back.
he killed me a rock too.
The guy our hut's gonna milk.
I don't know where rocker guys.
Where's the
Watch
guy?
him come. Watch him go.
There he is. He just jumped up. He's hitting our hut. And probably our rock ramp. Rock ramp.
Our flag trying to run it right now.
Like
Watch
that,
out running. Flag's one shot under our turret.
His rockets dead.
And ring 3 as well, another our turret. He's going flag, or he's going.
Back flag gonna chase Eric.
And fly guy's weak as well. Fly guy's weak as well.
Absolutely. Like that.
Alright, stay alive. We need to
Drop it on flag. One shot on flag. This guy our courtyard.
Our
Their
courtyard
jump
as well.
up weak. He didn't
Our
grab it.
pistol right now. Our pistol
Gonna
is
go
for
for
2
touch.
shots.
Gonna go for touch weak.
Our pistol is weak. Nice.
They're carbine.
Carbine. He's above you.
Above me.
Go on court.
Yep, I meleeed him once. He's got one shot. He's one shot.
Dude.
3 that was.
They're gonna get a touch. They are gonna get a touch.
Just trying to
above
bait
me,
it
he's above me.
Yep.
They're gonna get that.
They're gonna get that.
Two snipes
Our carbine. Going on
Our courtyard. Our courtyard? See him.
Their car again.
Ring 2, one shot. Nice.
Nice. Push up.
I'm pushing up. They don't have their sniper yet.
They're carbine.
Who you
They're
shooting?
carbine.
They're carbine.
2 shots ring. 2 shots.
Looking ring. I don't see him.
They have
I
their
went
snipe.
bond then. I went
They
bond.
have snipe in their courtyard. The courtyard.
The courtyard going.
Maybe. Could be
Courtyard right now.
Watch out our jump up. Tommy.
I tried it. Cyber's dead.
Snipes
I'm
down
there
their
rocks
hut.
with you.
Snipes
I'm there
down
rocks
their
with
hut.
you.
Erickson
I
rocks.
have 2 snipe. Cyber's down. Our
I got it. They're back rocks. I threw it naded him, and I'm
Watch
throwing
out,
it.
Justin. Go for it.
I'm trying to run this.
Snipe is
Watching ROE. I'm watching ROE.
Snipe their back shotty under turret.
Guys, I'm one shot their rocks. I'm one shot their rocks.
He's their bond. Don't poke.
I'm not poking.
Got him.
I got a shot. Ring 1 shot.
Ring 2. He's ring 2. They're P-Street.
They're gonna pick that snipe up under turret.
Alright,
Eric's got
one
it.
shot.
Eric's got it.
He's ring 3. 1 hit. Ring 3. 1 hit.
Is he gonna get an angle on me?
Nice, Eric. Just keep that.
1 hit. Ring 2. 1 hit. Ring 2. 1 hit. Ring 2.
They're gonna have a sniper in the street. We're gonna be good though. They're gonna get it at a time. They're sniper now watching our flag. Dustin, he's looking at you.
Yeah, I know.
He's still jumping up and down the street. Gonna go ring 3.
I'm going to ring for rockets.
He's going ring 3 right now.
I'm in ring
He
right
dropped.
now.
He dropped the bond. He
Watch
missed
the
the
bomb.
bond.
Watch the bomb.
I'm going for rockets. They're jump up. I'm right now.
Dude.
And as we jump back in, we are tied up 1 apiece now.
When I think about all the disgusting refuge snipes that you hit on your stream, and I'm wondering like, oh, how's he doing this? I remember this is why. I mean, like these intense pressure scenarios where you're playing the best players in the world and you have to hit these crazy snipes, and then when you go in matchmaking, it's just like just fodder. You know, you just run them over. The reason why sorry, what's that?
I was just gonna say it sets a pace whenever you're playing
the pace,
best players, and you play the best players so often. That's why if you can't play the best players, like get your chance to. That's how you get better as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah. The reason why I had grabbed that is it's actually it's a listen-in segment, so we couldn't really hear it. But the caster, they jumped over to listen in. It starts with you guys under a ton of pressure. Splice is just assaulting the base. If we show it up in the background right now, and you guys are, you're under a lot of pressure. How exactly do you break out of this kind of sequence in Refuge, would you say? You end up losing a cap, too, and I guess that's how you take your opportunity.
Yeah, so, I mean, in those kind of situations, and flags in particular, it's just when you have so much pressure on you, you just have to try and group up as best you can. And I think in most of this clip, you can see, like, there's, like, probably 3 of us always, like, near that hut side, trying to stop the flag, because it was still on our side, still very visible, so we're like, all right, we're just going to try and stop it. But we're all together. Like, that's the best thing to do, is when things are just going to crap, like, just try and group up together as best you can, because just try and use your numbers if you can't really use too much strategy at the time. That's really just the best thing to do. And then off of that, we were able to get some picks. Like, they ended up getting their cap off of that, but we were able to start getting some kills because they were just kind of spread out. They got their cap, but then we were able to get map position. So that's always like a good time, is like and it's always not the worst thing to just give up flag caps, especially when it's 0-0. Like, we tried fighting for it as long as we could, but it just reached a point where, like, we're still trading kills, and, like, we just have to give it up. Like, that's all we can do is just give it up and try and do what we did, which was get map position, just get weapons, and then try and work from there. So that's usually just the best thing to do, is when you're in these high-pressure situations, is to just stay with your team as much as you can and try and work off the advantages that are given to you, which is, like, height advantage and the weapons.
Yeah, and I mean, right here, here's the sequence where you're fighting for it. The cool thing is you actually communicate with each other the moment that it's a dead flag. And it's like Snipe Downs, he's hiding in the corner. You guys are losing numbers. I think you missed the melee there, and you're like, dude, what? And then, yeah, Snipe Downs over here in the corner, and then they grab it, and they're like, yo, it's dead. We can't do this. Like, he recognizes he's one shot. There's no way you can chase that. You leave the flag, but then you get 2 crucial kills, and then Snipe Down immediately books it into rocks, right? You have to push up in that opportunity that you can get map presence back. Trippy follows. He's going to go up here with the sniper. Crazy trade from Trippy right here. By the way, like, he spots him, looks away, and then snaps back and gets the headshot just in time.
Yeah, that's a crazy snipe.
Yeah, and then you're going to pick it up and start doing some work as well. But this is, you have to, like, make strides off of any of these openings, right? You get these slaves
exactly.
and move up. Yeah,
yeah.
Here you go.
So just with, like, playing against the best players, it's like you hardly get opportunities to just move forward. And that's why I said, like, once, like, if there's a guy running a flag, one guy's out of the game. So it's a 3v4 if we use our numbers properly. But on top of that, use your numbers properly. And then we also had a sniper coming up, so then we have a power weapon. And there's a guy out of the game. He's trying to cap a flag on their team. So that's our turn to just try and make a move. Then, like you said, Eric gets 2 picks. Then we have weapons. Joey trades. It's like now we can just move forward and put some pressure on the map. And so, but you have to make those split-second decisions like then and there, or you're just already behind in the game. So that's always just the most important thing, is timing and, like, when you can execute these sort of decisions.
This must have been a hell of a series, because you guys were down 2-0, your elimination bracket on the line. You do a 3-game sweep comeback, and like a long-awaited one too. I know you guys have wanted to beat Splice for a while here. So yeah, what's the energy like going through these games? Like, you know you can take it, I guess, and these are like the momentum builders.
Exactly. We were so pumped to be able to do this against them, and obviously, I think most teams always kind of had that feeling with Splice. It's just like you just want to beat them. You just really want to. Not even for, like, any personal gripes, but everyone has, like, those, like, simple interactions with some teams sometimes where they just make you a little irritated, and, like, that's how everyone kind of felt with Splice in a way. So it's just like, yeah, we beat you. So
saying they don't try and stuff too would definitely like be irritating.
Exactly. So it was just like, it was so great to finally, especially in that kind of fashion, to like turn it around and still show, like, even though we were down, like, we weren't out. And it was just like, we're still in it. And it was such a great feeling. We were so pumped. And that was like our first winners finals I think we were able to get into, was that tournament, I believe.
You got to go all the way to London for that. That was the first time we had North American players go all the way over to European soil to play a tournament. How was that experience? Have you been to London before? Like, do you have a favorite event that you've ever been to also?
So first question with, was that my first time in London? It was my first time in London.
Nice.
I had to get a passport just for this event.
Oh my God.
And I think I even had some tweets leading up to that, because I ordered my passport and it was saying I was a female and not male, so I can't have that. And then it was like a few days before I was leaving, and I like had to get it back, so I had to get it expedited back to me like as soon as I possibly could.
It's ridiculous.
And, yeah, I was freaking out whenever I saw that. And so I was able to get there. Hell of a long flight, of course, but it was just such a different experience. It was so cool. It just for the sheer different like feel of it is just what is so encapsulating about being in a different place, is just how different it can be from where I am. And that was such an awesome feeling, in being in a completely different country. And I was so happy to get the opportunity. It was great.
The content was so sick too. I tried to find you in something from Gfinity, but we didn't have any storylines with you. There was the Frosty interview. They had the Stellar, the Splice stuff. This is the casters stepping foot in London here. Really funny video. I recommend you guys look up HCS London Gfinity, and you can find some of their interviews and unique footage here. This is kind of what started the content that we got in the following year, right? With like the Invitational and stuff like that. So stuff that we need more of, and I always like seeing stuff that builds character, builds personality. As far as the year, though, that was kind of the closing event for the year. Of course, there is like Atlanta that happened, but technically their year ends at the date, like what was it, like November or whatever, or because HCS started Anyway, I don't know, because the highlight says that it ends at London. You guys did have Atlanta that followed, though. And Atlanta, it was a similar kind of performance. It was the one to close out Halo 5. I tried to find winners finals because that was an insane series, the Atlanta winners finals. Such a sick series. I could not find it. I think it's only part of like the massive VOD, like the 9-hour VOD.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And then grand finals was a rough one for sure to close out Halo 5. Any thoughts on that one?
With grand finals, I think we came out hot. I think the game one even was just like back and forth, and like everything was great. And then I think honestly, I don't know why it happened to turn this way, but like some technical issues just started happening. And then
really?
like some things just didn't go our way. Just it happens because they're a great team, and like things didn't go our way after like some technical issues. I think it was, I want to say Truth Flag was game one. I don't quite remember, unless maybe it was like Truth Flag and like the reset bracket. I don't quite remember. All I know is like in one of the Truth Flag games that we were playing, it was like a stalemate, and I don't know if it was 1-1 or 0-0, and like we had camo, we had a good setup, and then for like a solid like 5 to 10 seconds, everything was like shifting, and people were walking into walls and shit like that, and Ola had camo, and
I remember that. Yeah, there was a lag spike. I think was that the event?
That was that series. And
Ola,
then like
you're right. I wish I grabbed that.
Ola's
clip.
camo runs out.
Yeah.
I end up dying. I don't know if I was the one with flag or somebody else had flag, and then Ola doesn't get the kill on the guy that was like a free kill. Like we were calling out to each other like, okay, this guy's here, we're gonna do something, and then like it's lagging, and then even then I'm like, okay, I guess like this game's about to end. It didn't end. We're back in it. Like I'd never experienced that before either. Usually it just usually just ends when stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Because like the game can't handle it. But somehow it kept going, and then we end up like losing the flag. We lost our camo. Like then we lost map control, and then I think after that we were just kind of like, man, that fucking sucked. We were so pissed. We were so upset. But it's like whatever. Like they still won the game because it was so early in the game, or it was like still even. But I was just like, man, that sucked. All right, on to the next one. Because we had a good mentality that tournament. I would say like we had probably the strongest mentality we ever had, where it's like nothing was really phasing us if like things were going wrong. But that really still sucked. And then I don't know if it was like the game. It must have been like 2 games after that, or it was like I don't remember. I really don't remember. This is what I'm talking about with like knowing when things happen in a tournament. I'm so bad with. But then it was on our big strongholds on blue side. Like we were blue team and they were red team, of course, and we had the greatest start from blue side, which never happens on rig strongholds, and we got triple cap, railgun, camo, game crashes.
Oh my god!
At the very start of the game, and so I think that all happened in the first series. I want to say because I feel like we got really demoralized. I think they were playing. They were playing amazing, and then we were like really demoralized. And I think it's just like added up. I think it really sucked because like we were still fighting back, and like obviously in the moment we aren't saying to each other like, man, this sucks. Like we're not like wallowing and like just crying about it, but we're like trying to move forward. But I think that really like those 2 things happening were like they were really big, and it really sucked for that to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like it is what it is, and like I don't think we could bounce back from it. That's just on us. And then obviously like Tox is Tox. Like they're great players, so like we couldn't keep up with them as well as we wanted to, and it just ended up being what it was.
Sucks because it did seem a little crippling, like doing the reset, and then even like looking at your guys' kind of demeanor. You're like you could hear some of the comms and stuff too. It just seemed like you didn't have the same energy in the second series you did in the first one.
Yeah.
And which makes me think this is also why, like, of course everybody wants Halo Infinite so badly, but you especially is just you're so close to number 1. You know what I mean? You won the winners finals. You were in grand finals. You almost closed Halo 5 with a first place victory. To get that close and now have to wait 2 years for Halo Infinite is it's a rough situation. You're like that close to greatness. So I feel you on that grind, man. You had another close shave recently, actually. If we jump right back to recently,
that would be even closer somehow with the 2v2. Even closer.
Yeah. So so we'll do a quick jump to that, and then I know you guys got some questions in the chat before we close out. We got a couple. More. Yeah, I know we're over time. I'm sorry, guys. The Atlantic City 2v2 just happened. You were playing amazing. You guys had a 14-game series, though. Unfortunately, it didn't quite go your way. Just any thoughts on the experience there? I want to still see you play 2v2, man. Like you dropped out now, and you like, you know. I mean,
know, man.
Not the next one. Like I just feel like you run over the guys if you play the next one. You know.
Yeah, I know. It just came to that point now where it's like I know I can still do well, and I think like even if I had the right teammate, obviously like I still could very well win the 2v2. But it's just like I don't know. It feels like I kind of reached that point where it's like I want to compete in something, so either the 2v2s and just keep competing that, or like move to something else. It's just like the 2v2s aren't gonna. I don't really want this to just be what I'm doing for the next year. So it's been hard to like really qualify that as something I'm gonna stick with.
Right.
And like that's just what I'm gonna be doing. So that's why I kind of stepped away, or wanted to step away anyway. But with that series, man, it was honestly like even I was not upset at all losing that series. To be perfectly honest with you,
Oh, yeah?
I mean I guess I shouldn't say that. I really felt like that was such a fun series. After it happened, like I was smiling and just got up to shake their hands because I was like, man, we were that close, and but these guys were playing out of their minds, and we were playing out of our minds. That's honestly what I thought and what I said to Neptune afterwards. I was like, that was a good series. That was a really fun series because I never experienced that before. Like back and forth games for 14 games.
It was
especially
crazy.
in like a 2v2. It's just like this. Like if this was like a tournament that we had while everyone was still watching, like I feel like everyone would have been freaking out for how close these games were and how like insane some of the plays that were going on. So it was just such a great series. Like it was just our skill, like it just a testament to our skill and their skill, like just being shown off, and that's what made me enjoy it. I would still love to have won that tournament. I think we were so close, and honestly, I feel like I was playing really well, but we couldn't pull it out. So it was what it was. But it was really impactful, I think, and something I could still learn from how close it was. I think it made me even better. I think playing these twos definitely made me even just realize some things that in my gameplay could have been worked on, and I thought I had improved on to make it as fun of a series and fun of a tournament as I could have made it.
Yeah, really exciting. The only gripe that I had was just the fact that you guys had to unfortunately switch off the main stage. It just we didn't expect it to go as long as it did, and like people were begging to see Halo 5 on the stage, but the timing of it, like with grand finals playing, it was just it was rough timing. And then we had to switch. There was a huge like gap, like a 30-minute gap in between.
Yeah, there was technical issues. That was definitely my biggest gripe about that tournament, was just how much time there was in between games. Not even towards the end of it, like here, but it was just like we were waiting just hours and hours between our rounds. It was so disappointing some of those times. But besides that, like the games themselves were great. I really enjoyed the tournament.
Yeah. Well, of course some amazing gameplay from you. I think this was some like peak Halo 5 2v2 gameplay that I'm hoping we get more of in the next 2v2. But just not having all the same talent there, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. But so I guess that's what 100%. There's no chance we're going to see you at Atlanta.
I can't like I never want to say something's like 100%.
Okay.
Most likely you will not see me there. Considering how like how I mentioned at the beginning of this, how I'm getting so ingrained with Apex right now. So most likely not.
Sure. Got other things to focus on, and that's fair. And it gives opportunities for people like myself to take the spotlight and get amazing at twos. No, I'm kidding. I'll focus on casting it. Okay, right before you head out, we got a couple questions. Paco Pavlo says, Saiyan, favorite teammate, favorite org?
Favorite teammate? It's hard to say between Ola and Trippy. Like it has to be a tie between them. Like there's no other way to say it. Like I love them. I love those guys for like not even completely different reasons. For honestly, the same reasons. Like they're just great people and great teammates and great people to just learn from and talk to. That's all I could have asked for from the people I played with. So definitely between those two, and I would say Reciprocity has to be my favorite org. Chad Larson, owner, he was super hands-on with us. He was super kind, and he was just very generous and just very. It was awesome to have that experience coming from like Luminosity. And Envy was also very much more hands-on and very much more almost like a home in a way, a friendly sort of interaction. But Reciprocity was definitely like just the next step up from what I had experienced with some org owners. So it was really nice to play under Reciprocity.
Yeah, you and Trippy, definitely a huge duo, Halo 5. Love talking to him as well. Ola's amazing, by the way. I wish I could get this guy on the show. I keep asking him, and he's great to talk to in person, but it's just hard to get a hold of him for the actual show.
He's the worst. He's the worst trying to talk to him. Like if you're
he's so funny though. He's so great. Like he's like even in the Envy videos. There's one point, I don't know if you guys got a chance to. I don't think we played the right one, but you guys are like on these couches, these like weird couches. He's like, this ain't a couch. Like I've got way better couch at home. You guys should come see my couch. Like just the stuff that he says in his comms and like
he's hilarious. He's
the
so
personality we need in Halo, and I can't get him on the Stam show. One day it'll happen, I promise. Yeah.
Just don't feel discouraged because he does it to everyone.
I know.
Like he just doesn't respond to people in the proper time at all.
I had the amazing opportunity to hang out with him, Snipe Down, and Alumni, and actually Proximity. A lot of the YouTube guys late at Atlantic City. We had this Muggsy had this like penthouse suite with this balcony, and it was a really really sick experience. We got to go to the casino and everything too. So
nice.
Yeah, so really, really fun time, and getting to know these guys as people is amazing. And then I get excited to bring them on the show, and one day it'll happen. Anyway,
one day.
Cass says, Saiyan, which Halo would you most like Infinite to be like?
Definitely would have to say just I wouldn't say anyone in particular. Well, maybe I guess like Halo 2 and Halo 5. Halo 2 meaning like I still like hit scan more. Obviously, I think most people intend for it to be hit scan, so that just. Like that. I like the idea of there being more to Halo than just walking and shooting, but generally I think competitive is played best that way where it's just walk and gun and normal classic gameplay. Yeah. I still think like there's more that Halo can do. I just think it hasn't been really recognized with the previous Halos and the abilities that have been thrown out. I think it'd be much more subtle if they can do that, like just much more subtle abilities that could improve the gameplay. That's my honest opinion. I think any game can naturally grow, even Halo. I don't think it needs to always stay the same. I think that's definitely bad for growing. But I think it went like from one end of the spectrum to the next with
it went really far
gameplay. So I feel like somewhere in the middle really could reach a good note for Halo, and working from that would be what I want for Infinite.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times. One thing that that I like the idea of that you brought up was just kind of adding depth and nuance in the gunplay, the gun skill, the types of weapons and the types of like alternative fire and things like this, the stuff that they do. So just the experiencing like wielding weapons, you can add so much kind of depth and diversity to that. And and Halo 2 kind of had mechanics that aided that as well that weren't really intended, I guess, at first. But so good opportunities there. But ultimately, that's going to cover everything we have for today. So a quick look at year 4 of HCS, a big year for you, and a year where you got so close to that #1 spot. And I know you're going to come back with a vengeance coming up in Halo Infinite. I'm excited to see what you have in store. Saying thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here. Awesome.
Good to have you. All right, guys, that'll close today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, we've got our Grassroots giveaway. You type !Grassroots in the chat for your chance to win the nameplate and BR skin. We probably already have our winner. They'll let me know on Discord in 1 second. Congratulations to whoever it is. Where is it? We have, wait, what? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll see you around, Saiyan. Always a pleasure, man. Thank you for tuning in, dude. Gunshots with the win. Gunshots, congratulations. We will send you that BR Skin nameplate. Thank you guys for participating in the giveaway. It happens every single week, so come back next week with an !Grassroots. You can get your chance to win that giveaway once again. Of course, we also have some merch. You can check out the merch, and anything that you purchase here not only supports the show, it supports me. There it is. Finally, not only supports the show, it supports me as well. And you guys know that the deal. I would highly appreciate any support that you can give. That'll close today's show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with year 5 of HCS. I'll see you guys again in the near future.